Моля да посетим всички на масата, за да може да направим снимките да бъде пълно. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да може да направим снимките да бъде пълно? One photo for this stuff. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да може да направим снимките да бъде пълно? One photo for this stuff. Take a seat, please, to make some photo. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да може да направим снимките да make some photo. Take a seat, please, to make some photo. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да може да направим снимките да make some photo. Take a seat, please, to make some photo. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да направим снимките да make some photo. Take a seat, please, to make some photo. Бихте ли погледнали? Бихте ли погледнали на масата, за да направим да make some photo. Take a seat, please, to make some photo.
Сядайте, ето има около масата. И тук има също. Цвета? Нека да сме около масата. Сядайте, ето има около масата. И тук има също. Цвета? Нека да сме около масата. Okay, please take a seat. I'm opening the Best Paper Crystal Prize 2023. You can see from the schedule that we have 12 papers that are included in our program. Every of the presenters will have 10 minutes to present his scientific work. So I will start with the first paper. The first paper will be presented by Angel Ivanov. He is a student. The name of the paper is Harmful and Useful Sunflower Ethnomofauna at the Tutrakan region. He will explain. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You have presenter?
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, let's just.
Yes.
While we're taking the moment, I'm going to explain a bit about the topic. It's called Harmful and Useful Sunflower Entomofauna at the Tutrakan region. What's the entomofauna? It's the insects which we can meet all over the world. At the present, you go, for example, to the garden, and you just explore it, and there are so much insects. Yeah, we're here. Okay, so about the first introduction. Sunflower belonging to the genus Helianthus is one of the most important oil crops in the world. And in some countries, especially in Europe, it is the main raw material for the oil industry. It originates from North America. It's brought from Russia before the liberation. The largest sunflower producers currently are in Russia, Ukraine, Argentina, China, and France, followed by Romania, Bulgaria, and Kazakhstan. And the common sunflower is an annual plant with an average growing season of 120 to 140 days. The sunflower pests are one of the factors that have a serious impact on yields and the quality of the produce. The main enemies in sunflower plantations are, as you can see, the sunflower moth, the sunflower seed Agapanthia dahlia, wireworms, aphids, pentomydae, and field locusts. Until recently, the control of these enemies was carried out by means of insecticides. As you know, these are the pesticides used to control the insects. The aim of the study is to study the harmful, beneficial, and indifferent entomofauna of sunflower in the Ruse region. This study is necessary for the future development of appropriate integrated pest control. The place of the study, as you can see here, was conducted in 2021 to this year on the territory of the land in the village Sar Samuel on an area of 5 acres with a medium strength leached the soil type is typical Bulgarian. It's called Chernozem, and this is one of the best soils to manage the sunflower, for example. The preparation of the soil for sowing includes plowing to a depth of 30 centimeters and 2 per sowing. The following classic entomological methods which we use are the soil excavation method, the method of visual observations, and the phenological observations. As you can see here, these are some of the pests which we found. For example, this one is called Erigaster in Latin, and here you can see the phenophase B, the sprouting. This is the phenophase of the sunflower. I guess all of you have seen a sunflower. The climate characteristics of the region. So the agro-meteorological analysis, the data on meteorological conditions during the study were taken from the observatory at the Varna branch of the National Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. It is equipped for climate stations. So we've used this data. You can see the data here. These ones are the rain. This is the temperature, for example. This is the temperature of the month. It's like the average one. So in June, July, and August, when the maximum temperatures can reach 33 degrees, as you can see, it's really hot in here, isn't it? The species which the composition of harmful entomofauna in sunflower crop which were found are, for example, the Ligas, the Nizara verdula, and you can see they're 18. You can check it out. This is the Erigaster. These are like the species, all of them. They're in one big family, 8 species, of which meadow bugs were the most common. They're the most common. We see them, some of them, we see them in our homes also, but they're not the same. These are some other species which are said here. This is the Psilobora punctata. The species composition of beneficial entomofauna. Again, these are 7-point ladybug, and a variable ladybug. It's not a bird, it's a ladybug. Here you can see them. You just count the dots, and then you know which one is it. The average population density of harmful insects. So as you can see, the most is Ligas bratensis and Acanthocerides aureus. In none of the readings from the beginning of the growing season to harvest of the sunflower, there was no enemy that exceeded the defined thresholds of economic harm and necessitated the implementation of a treatment. Here you can see an example system of integrated pest management in sunflower. So when treating the sunflower in the budding and flowering phase, measures must be taken to protect the domestic bees and wild pollinators. Some of the enemies of the sunflower may overwinter in the unharvested stalks. The absence of enemies established in the soil excavation before sowing is the prerequisite for the optimal development of the culture. And most common and in the highest density were meadow bugs of the genus Ligas, but their damage did not affect the quality and quantity of the crop. And the main grain damage that affected yield was caused by the birds. So not a bunch of the entomofauna there. And considering that no pesticide treatments were carried out and therefore no costs were incurred, this is a very good result because you can see here, they got 320 kilograms per hectare, and the one obtained by us was like 275 kilograms per hectare. So considering the fact that there were no used pesticides and all the entomofauna was free to be there, to live there, and to eat and carry on their living, it was a very good effect. And I think that was most of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Angel? Any questions?
If any questions occur after that, I'm at the info desk downstairs. So
okay, thank you very much to Angel. We will continue with the next presenter. Okay, the next presenter, they are foreigner doctoral students who are in our university. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I will give you a presenter. We will turn on the screen now. And so the next paper is study the effect of stress on cognitive states using functional near-infrared spectroscopy. Presenters will be two doctoral students who are attending for several months our university. Please introduce yourself and take. This is return.
For the event.
Oh.
The receiver is here, so we can point it here.
Infrared.
Okay.
Infrared. I can give you this one. This one. Can you try? Can you try next? Yes. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abdul, and my colleague, Mr. Nitin. Special thanks to Prof. Nina for helping us during the semester. And today I'll be explaining the study of effects of the stress of the mental state, or what we call the cognitive state, using the function near-infrared spectroscopy device. So for the introduction, I will start with two questions. So what is stress and how many types of stress do we have? So stress is actually a new challenge for our body, or the reaction of the body during a new challenge, which is not a routinic, let's say, activities. So with stress, actually 2 out of 5, there is a study by Martin Bigalin in 2022. He said 44% are currently feeling stress. However, not all types of stress are bad. Some of the stress are good. Actually, without stress, we cannot do most of the things that we have to do. Stress can actually increase the motivation, also can improve our performance, also can increase the resilience of our work. So what is bad about stress? The persistence of stress is the bad. And as you can see here from the graph, the long stress is the bad stress, or what we call. So with stress is actually a very working in a very primitive basic mechanism, which is summarized in fight or flight. With stress, actually, it would be very good if we are trying to escape from a tiger or a saber-toothed tiger thousands of years. But now it's very difficult to run away from a lion manager. It would be like very difficult. We need to discuss, we need to overthink. We cannot just quit. So how many types of stress do we have? Actually, we have, let's say, we have a lot of different types of stress, but the psychology, or what we call the psychological stress, consists of two. Stress, which is the acute stress for a short-term stress, and we have the chronic stress, which is for a long stress. For the symptoms of the stress, we have the tummy pain for the acute stress, let's say for doing a presentation. So for example, now I'm feeling a little bit stressed. So this is one of the stress examples, and then you have a chest tightness, difficulty swallowing, and so on. So with the stress, for the long stress, so what we call the chronic stress, we can actually have clinical depression, heart disease, and hypertension and diabetes, which is not good. So how can we study stress actually in the lab? We can use it with the surveys, or we can do questionnaires or interviews with the patient in order to know if the patient is stressed or not. Also, we can do the objectives, which is related to the EEG device. As you can see here, this is the EEG, which is related to the electroencephalography device. Also, we can use the FNEO, which is used by this project, which is related to the function near infrared spectroscopy. And this is one of the examples. And finally, the fMRI, which is very famous. I think most of you knows about this one. So our hypothesis related to this project, one is that acute stress could actually lead to an imbalance of the transmission of the information during the brain, and that could lead to influence of the cognitive activity. Also, the acute stress can lead to high cognitive load, which can increase the probability of errors during any task. So the use of supervised machine learning, which is related to, should be able to classify the different states of stressful condition. Yeah. So for the methodology, we have used a game called the bar analog risk task. And this one is using two buttons, which is related to inflating the balloon, and the other one is to cash in. So playing this game, you have to click on this button to inflate the balloon and get more money. And then you have to cash it in. But at a certain point, if you keep clicking on the button, the balloon can actually blow up and you can lose the money. So you have to be careful. It's kind of trade-off. And the other task, which is related to the balloon analog risk task also, but it is introducing the time also. So the patient has to play the game for 20 seconds and he has to collect as much as he can. The next task, which is related to the balloon risk task, also introducing the time pressure and also increasing the mental demand, what we call the mental task. So this is the time related to the whole task, which is done for 260 seconds, about 3-4 minutes, to done the whole trials. So this is how we actually connected the device, the function near infrared spectroscopy. As you can see, the left side of the brain, the mid side, and the right side, which is 52 different channels, which is related to transmitter and emitter. And those are some of the patients. This is Mr. Nitin. As you can see here, he used to have the experiment. And this is what we call the plugin using MATLAB software to filter out the signals and to see the outputs. These are some of the results from the experiment. As you can see, these are most of the channels that we can see activation, what we call the oxygenated hemoglobin activation during the process. And these are the finalized results. As you can see here from the first task, it is less activated. And then from the third task, it's the most activated because it has more mental demands during the process. These are the oxygenated hemoglobin, the oxygens of the brain and how they are working during the task. So these are the significance difference between the first task that we have done and then the last task. And for the conclusion, we already proposed the study to study the stress and cognitive demands and the time pressure and mental demand. Also, the finding of this study illustrated the complexity relationship between the mental demand and the stress and the time constraints. And these are some of the references that we have used. And thank you very much. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate.
Yes, don't hesitate if you have any questions. Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. Thank you. Okay, we'll continue with Serkan Sadulov. The next paper will be about game engine and engine component design and development. Okay, let's start.
Hello, my name is Serkan. Me and my colleague Mustafa Mustafov, we have developed a game engine with its components. He is down at the big hall. You can see him later. We have developed a game engine with its launcher, respectively. We are going to see the engine itself, what technologies we have used for developing the engine and the launcher, respectively. The game engine. Why we decided to build a game engine? There are a lot of options out there, like Unity or Unreal, but let's take, for example, Unity. It is really light, but there are a lot of bugs, a lot of problems with it, so we don't like it. There is Unreal. Unreal is really good, but it's so heavy, so it cannot be used. And we wanted to use something internally, and we decided to make one for ourselves. Every game engine needs its launcher. There you can stack your projects and your engine path, so you can launch your projects whenever you want. What makes us different? We wanted to make something that everyone can use and something that is light and optimized, so you don't have to worry about your computer being too slow if you want to develop games or make animations. You can make animations too. And we wanted to make it possible for everyone to make something. Technologies that we have used for our launcher, it is web-based. So it can run on every platform. We have used Electron for its base. It's basically a Chrome browser, which starts headlessly. And for backend, we have used Node.js. With Node.js, we can access our projects, our files, and open them. For frontend, for styling, and for functionality, we have used JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Technologies used to create the engine. We are using Vulkan Graphics API. We choose Vulkan because it's one of the most optimized and really low-level talking with the system graphics API. It's really hard for beginners to understand it because it takes a lot of effort to know what you're doing. We used Mono. So our engine is built with C++, and we decided to use C# scripting. C# scripting because it's easier, and C# has really good set of instruments you can use. We took that from Unity as an example. So the Mono library gives us the opportunity to translate that C# code to C++ and run it in our engine. For now, we have only 2D graphics. Later we'll have 3D too, but 2D graphics, we have used Box 2D. It's really light and really good library for that. For audio, we have used Mini Audio. It's really well-known library around here. For our UI, which is this, we have used AmGui. AmGui is really light and good library for that. As you can see, we have skyboxes, models, and lighting. Now, shadows will be implemented later. We can change the lighting of an object, the parameters of an object. We can add script to them. The scripts make the objects to have some functionality. The launcher, I already talked about it. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, maybe you have some questions about game engine. Okay, do you have questions?
Yeah, I think one question.
Yeah.
Which engine do you base it on? We don't base it on anything. We just combine the best from everything, So we try to make it as good as it can for free.
So it's completely web-based.
No, it's not web-based. The launcher is web-based because it can run on every platform, Linux, Windows, it doesn't matter, Mac. But the engine itself, it's written in C++. It's for Windows for now. We are trying to port it for Linux, but in the future it will. We're going for Linux too.
Okay, thank you. Next presenter is number 5. Okay, we'll change. Okay, I would like to invite Ruse Ahmed. We will prepare the presentation. Some minutes. Oh, you have.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruse Ahmed and I'm last year student. I'm so excited. My supervisor is professor and Doctor of Sciences, Yulia Doncheva. The topic that we choose is the teacher as a factor in the acceptance of gifted children of primary school age. This is a current nowadays topic. We all know that gifted children are the wealth of every nation. And it is important to individualize and inclusion them. These are the main aspects that we focused on with Professor Doncheva. Supporting the individual needs of gifted children, stimulating their creative and critical thinking process, building an appropriate educational environment, supporting social adaptation, interaction of gifted children with their peers. I will now go in details. The identification of gifted adolescents, individualized approach in the learning process, individual study plans, evaluation and feedback, creating an appropriate learning environment, family involvement, support for the development of creative skills, collaboration with other specialists, motivation and support for social adaptation, and the last one, professional development. In conclusion, we can say that gifted children are a resource to society and have the potential to achieve extraordinary achievements in the future. Creating an appropriate educational environment that fosters their development and success can provide them with the opportunity to develop their full potential and become productive citizens of the future society. And of course, questions and answers continue to accumulate. That's from me. Thank you for your attention and thank you.
Do you have any question? the topic, the teacher as a factor in the acceptance of gifted children of primary school age. Here is also the scientific advisor of Ruse, if she wants to say something or to add something. Do you have questions? Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, the next one will prepare the presentation. This is Dobromir Tsonev. Okay, you can start when you are ready.
Greetings, everyone. I am Dobromir Tsonev, a third-year chemical technology student. The theme of my presentation is phenothiazine derivatives of 1,8-naphthalic anhydride. Recently, there has been a growing interest in derivatives of 1,8-naphthalic anhydride. Such derivatives are used in the design of light-capturing dendrons as materials capable of efficiently absorbing, transmitting, and converting light energy from protein cross-linking agents. Phenothiazine itself has been used in the past as an anthelmintic in veterinary medicine and in viticulture. It is also included in the structure of a number of antihistamides and has a sedative property. Phenothiazine derivatives show anti-tumor activity, good antimicrobial activity, and some of them also appear to be good inhibitors of steel corrosion. 1,8-naphthalic anhydride has a planar structure, while the phenothiazine molecule exists in a non-planar structure, where two configurations are possible, H extra and H intra, and these are depicted below. In the experimental part, chemically pure agents by the Merck company were used. The melting point was determined, the purity of the compound was checked through thin layer chromatography. The infrared spectrum was taken and the NMR spectra were obtained. And the chemical shifts were referenced to tetramethylsilane. And here is the synthesis. The compounds are numbered for brevity, and they are obtained from our starting product. And A is the anhydride ring. Antimicrobial testing to determine the antimicrobial activity of the substances. The agar diffusion method was used with a variety of test microorganisms. The tests were conducted on a nutrient medium of soy casein agar for bacteria and sapulodextrose agar for yeasts and molds. Diameters of the growth inhibition zones were taken into account after cultivation as follows: up to 15 millimeters. The microbial culture is weakly sensitive, from 15 to 25 sensitive, and over 25 highly sensitive. And here are the results summarized. As we can see, we have several that have a strong reaction to our compounds, and some of them do not have any. And in conclusion, a multitude of phenothiazine derivatives of 1,8-naphthalic anhydride have been synthesized, including new compounds by combining structural components of different biological significance. These have been confirmed with IR spectroscopy. Some of their physicochemical parameters have been measured and notable antimicrobial effects demonstrated. That is it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Do you have any questions? This was the topic. Very interesting presentation. No questions? No question. Okay, just one photo. Again, here in front of you. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we will continue with the next presentation. Okay, I would like to invite here Martin Dobrev, studying the effects of COVID-19 in passenger flow through the Ruse railway station. Okay, just a few. Okay, ready?
Hello, everyone. Today I will show you the information, the research that we gathered on the effects of COVID-19 in passenger flow through the Ruse railway station. Conducting research to establish the regularity of changes in the passenger flow is the basis for organizing the movement of the rolling stock. The change in passenger traffic is most often due to seasonal fluctuations in travel, but may also depend on other factors. One such factor was the declaration of a state of emergency in 2020 related to the pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus. As a result, the mobility throughout the European Union decreased significantly as countries in the Union took various measures to limit the spread of COVID-19. This in turn had an impact on the entire transport sector, including the railway subsector. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly affected passenger rail traffic. As a result of the measures taken, the use of passenger trains has decreased by 48% in Europe, according to data from the associations of regulators in the railway sector. The closure of many businesses and offices, as well as the ban on movement within and between individual countries, has had their impact. The analysis also shows that only 8% of trains were suspended in 2020, but social distancing measures and safety rules have reduced ridership significantly. I'm going to show you some graphs throughout the years. It's going to be for 2018 to 2022, so it's going to be before COVID, through COVID, and after COVID. And you're going to see those are the trend lines. You're going to see they're upwards every time. Those rates are for the whole year, from January through December 2018. It is clear from the figure that the most passengers use the railway service during the months of July, August, and September. Those are the hotter months of the year. In 2019, it's an error here, it's 2019. Passengers used the rail transport the fewest in the months of January, February, and March. An increase in passenger traffic by about 15% was noticed in the first few months compared to the previous one. The trend is going upwards again. In the first months of January and February 2020, the passengers who passed through the Ruse railway station are about 5% more compared to the previous year and almost 20% more compared to 2018. But with the announcement of the state of emergency related to the COVID-19 pandemic in the months of March and April, the numbers of passengers who passed through the Ruse railway station decreased sharply. You can see the dip is right here. In 2021, the fewest passengers used rail transport in the months of January, February, March, November, and December. In the summer months, despite increased consumption, the sector still cannot reach its pre-pandemic values. In 2022, the demand for the service from passengers is weakest again in the first 3 months of the year, respectively the months of January, February, and March. On the figure, you can see that the peak of consumption was in the months of June, where a growth of over 38% is noticeable. But in general, consumption is highest again in the summer months. All 5 trend lines for the year show a clear sign that the passengers prefer to use railway transport in the second half of the year, which is more cold than hot on average. The conclusions are that the travel restrictions imposed in connection with the COVID-19 pandemic have caused significant damage to tourism and directly affected rail travel, respectively. In 2019, the number of passengers who passed through the Ruse passenger center was almost 183,000. In the following year, 2020, with the announcement of the pandemic related to COVID-19, the volume of passengers in the transport decreased by almost 50%. And most significant is the drop in passenger traffic in 2021, during which passengers have decreased by almost 6% compared to 2020, even though we had a dip with the COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you to Martin Dobrev. He's student from Department of
Transportation. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, which year? Bachelor or master?
Fourth year.
Fourth year.
My master.
So this is your thesis you
Yeah.
have to defend.
Yeah, in a way.
Diploma project.
Yep.
Okay. So do you have any questions? Martin? No questions? Thank you very much
Thank you as well.
for the presentation. We will continue with the next presentation. This is Elica Ivanova. Elica Ivanova will present nano-obstetrics, modern obstetrics.
Nano-obstetrics.
Nano-obstetrics, okay. Just a few moments. There are two presentations. Yes, the new version from today, okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Wait a moment.
I would like to bring to your attention this project, this report on nano-obstetrics that I worked on with Mrs. Sveta Hristova. Nanotechnology, this is the science of the small. Nanoparticle is 10,000 times smaller than the human hair. Nano is the green word for a dwarf. This tiny tech is making a big wave in medicine, and its applications have been studied for years by research institutes, research groups, investigators, and even Nobel laureates. The purpose of this study is to summarize the current state of nanotechnology in obstetrics and pregnancy-related disorders, such as reproductive health, sterility, risk conditions during pregnancy, and preterm birth. Let's start with sterility. The level of luteinizing hormone is important for the infertility of both partners. There is sensor modified with graphene nanoparticles that can qualify the level of this important hormone. Male sterility. The first pilot study is conducted of the effect of graphene on human seminal fluid. Here you can see this first pilot study, in vitro study, that evaluates the influence of nanoparticles on seminal fluid. And this is the complex process, investigating the effect of nanomaterials on the sperm sorting process. In reproductive health, the focus is on the use of nanoparticles due to their ability to encapsulate the medicine, to transport the medication, and finally, automatic drug release. In contraception, here, a new condom, new product is designed due to the higher strength of graphene nanoparticles. This new product is thinner, more protective, and more sensitive. The biggest challenge for nanoparticles is during pregnancy. It's beneficial in the treatment of preeclampsia, diabetes, and fetal hypoxia. Detecting signs of imminent childbirth. This is the preterm childbirth. You can see this transmitter based on graphene nanoparticles is a newly developed device, a good diagnostic tool for preterm birth. It contains sensor modified with nanoparticles that qualifies the protein interleukin, and it helps for early detection for preterm birth. Nanoparticle in diagnostics. Detection of human chorionic gonadotropin due to nano-based test. Diagnosis ectopic pregnancy and miscarriage at early stage. Early isolation of fetal DNA for prenatal screening. It's very important because it diagnoses from the 5th week of pregnancy. Nanosensors provide non-toxic monitoring in pregnancy and also images malignant lesion without risk of radiation and tissue toxicity. The focus here is on the use of nanoparticles due to their ability to respond at risk. How they respond? Thanks to immunosensors, we can detect preeclampsia. Nano-based test of mutated hemoglobin can help with diabetes. And the game changer, this is the genetic therapy in uterus, because the nanoparticles are DNA carriers. All of that make early diagnosis, early treatment, and avoids therapeutic delays. In assisted reproduction, nanotechnology-based system is produced, is modified, and immunosensor for human chorionic gonadotropin detects the embryo with the highest change, the best change for successful implantation, malignancy during pregnancy. Nanomedicine enables safe treatment for cancer during pregnancy, avoiding therapeutic delay, target cancerous cells without harming healthy tissue, overcoming drug resistance, and reduce toxicity. A sensor platform based on nanoparticles provides monitoring and reporting of the respiratory wave frequency. Here it helps for sleep apnea and sudden infant death syndrome. It's wireless, non-toxic, convenient. It detects and qualifies breathing, pulse, flexing fingers, and elbows. Nanotechnology in obstetrics holds great promise of use in disease monitoring, disease diagnosis, new disease treatment, gene therapy delivery, and medication delivery. Nanotech is expected to revolutionize medicine. The studies included in this review support these expectations. Further development in nanotechnology offers hope for currently untreatable obstetric conditions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Wait a moment. Do you have questions? Here is also the scientific advisor of Elite. Elite is student in the Department of Healthcare. Which year? Fourth year. So this is the fourth. The fourth. Okay. Okay. So his advisor is also here, Associate Professor Cveta Hristova. If you have any questions to the colleagues. Okay, thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Okay, and next presenter will be Dilyana Zheleva, Martin Pev, challenges for psychotherapy in physiotherapy, excuse me, physiotherapy in anisomelia after hip arthroplasty. Okay, let's start the presentation. Wait a moment.
So, greetings, fellow scholars. My name is Martin Pev, and I'm a second-year kinesiotherapy in the University of Ruse. Me and my colleagues, Dilyana Zheleva and Assistant Professor Denisa Vasileva, have written a report on the challenges for physiotherapy in anisomelia after hip arthroplasty. So let's get the fancy Greek words out of the way. Anisomelia basically means an means not, iso means equal, melia means limbs. So basically anisomelia is not equal limbs. So the title of the report is Challenges for Physiotherapy in Anisomelia following hip arthroplasty, which is basically replacement of the hip joint. Okay, so let's start off with some anatomy. Here we can see the femoral, the hip joint. It consists of a femoral head covered in smooth cartilage and contacting with the pelvic bone. The contact patch is the acetabulum, which is also covered in smooth cartilage. Now this mechanism, if I can call it, can actually go wrong with time. Here we can see a condition in which, as you can see, the bones, the pelvic bone and the femoral heads are contacting bone on bone. It's not smooth cartilage on smooth cartilage. It's actually bone on bone. We can also see the ruggedness of femoral head. It should be smooth. This condition is called osteoarthritis. One of the main reasons people go to get their hip joints replaced. And here we can see after the operation, the two of the hip joints are replaced by any prosthetics. Actually, this is a super common procedure. We've found data from the National Health Insurance Fund of Bulgaria that for the year of 2022, there were 1,372 hip replacements done, of which 147 were in Ruse. You can imagine the orthopedic surgeons' daily routine consists of they get coffee, they check their emails, do a couple of hip replacements, and go on with their day. Super common procedure. So aligning the two limbs of the patients is a desired goal for the orthopedic surgeons. But having a discrepancy of about 1 centimeter at most is pretty normal, pretty often observed, and the body actually compensates for this pretty well, no problem. But sometimes it can go above this 1 centimeter length of discrepancy. As you can see on this graph, these are the odds of patients complaining from lower back pain compared to symptom-free patients with this video. As you can see, it can dramatically increase after the 14 millimeter mark of difference in length, complaining from lower back pain. Actually, lower back pain is the main complaint they have. First, we're gonna differentiate the two types of anisomylia. So there is the structural anisomylia, which is based on bony structures, so hard tissues like bones. You can see, structural anisomylia can be seen on a radiographic imagery. And there is the other type of anisomylia is functional anisomylia, which is based on soft tissues. So muscle imbalances or ligament laxities and so forth. These functional anisomylias cannot be seen through radiographic imagery. So the structural anisomylia is the main focus of orthopedic surgeons. That's what they're trying to address. And the functional anisomylia is the main goal for physiotherapists to solve. So patients may have different compensatory mechanisms, so contractures of their respective limbs. On the long leg, your foot could be pronated, and on the short leg, it's supinated. The ankle, the long leg is in dorsiflexion, and the short leg is in plantar flexion. The knee is, obviously, the long leg is in flexion, the short leg is in extension to compensate. The hip joints, long leg flexion and internal rotation, while the short leg is in extension and external rotation. On the long leg, the pelvic bones are backward rotated, while in the short leg, they're forward rotated. So patients may have some of these, compensatory contractures, or they might have some, or they might have all of them. It depends on the patient basis. Sadly, this GIF, it has potato quality, but it doesn't play as well on PDF format, so I'm gonna demonstrate it for you. The patient, he leans on the short leg. He keeps leaning, and we can see his scoliotic deformities as well. So he's leaning on the short leg. The stride duration on the short leg is reduced. On the long one is significantly increased. And patients with anisomylia usually take short steps, long leg, longer step, short leg, shorter step. So the two ways to address this this condition is conservatively, so that means non-surgically, are basically putting a heel lift, so lifting the heel up to compensate for the leg length discrepancy. So on the left picture, we can see a 5 millimeter heel lift, and on the right one, we can see them stacked one on top of the other, so total of 50 millimeter height. So this stacking of heel lifts should be done gradually. It should not be done like all of a sudden, so the patient can get used to the heel lifts. But the other more important way to address it is to take a look at even though after we put the heel lift, we can see the triangle represents the angulation of the pelvic bones. Even though we have compensated the leg length discrepancy under the heel of the patient, the pelvis is still tilted towards the longer side. So we haven't really solved the problem. So that's where physical therapy actually comes into play. What are the tasks for the physical therapist? The primary tasks are normalization of the muscle tone and length, because some muscles will be contracted, some will be longer. Increasing the joint range of motion. Of course, strengthening of the articular muscle corset to hold on to this new joint to keep it in place. Impact on the scoliotic deformities, because they will be leaning, and of course they're going to have a scoliotic deformity. Destruction of pathological motor stereotypes, and retraining and walking. So how are we gonna accomplish these tasks? The tools we're gonna use we just listed a couple: therapeutic exercise to strengthen the muscle corset, etc. Stretching to relax the contracted muscles, the joints, massage to relax as well, and corrective gymnastics for the scoliotic deformities. There are, of course, contraindications for the total hip replacement after the total hip replacement surgeries that physical therapists need to take into account. So these are flexion of the hip joint more than 90 degrees, adduction, and rotations. If you don't take into account these contraindications for hip replacement, the joint is going to go pop, and before the patient knows it, we have to send them to the orthopedic surgeon to get their leg back in. Thank you for your attention. Have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes.
You're saying hip replacement. Do you actually replace the hip with something, or you cut it off at a certain part and
You actually cut it off at a certain part of the pelvic bone, and a certain part of the femur bone, and you replace it with metal / polymer parts. Depends. It has varieties as well. Any other questions? No?
I will return on the first page just for another photo. Okay, so this was very interesting also presentation, challenges for physiotherapy in anisomelia after hip arthroplasty. Here is also the scientific advisor of the students, Assistant Professor Denica Vasilyeva, Dilyana Zheleva and Martin Peev, they are students.
Yes.
In which year?
Second year.
Second year. Okay, okay. So we wish them success. As you see, we have presenters from every faculty in our university. So really interesting presentation. These are our best papers from the scientific session. So we wish you success. Thank you very much. Okay, next presenter is here. Also, Nina Nikolova, they will be 3 presenters, okay? Just switch, now please, come here. Nina Nikolova, Mirela Lubenova, Denica Tudorova, and Denislava Todorova, and the scientific advisor Илица Куманова. This is the present. Значи, стъпите и ако искате да посмотрите, застанете заедно, за да можем да направим снимка малко по-близо, може би от другата страна, да, също така.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nina, this is Mirela, and this is Denislava. We are first year law students. Our report presents the different theories of the legal system. Firstly, we will start with the concept of the legal system of Ruse. The legal system represents a type of a system with the unity of three basic unities. In addition, it includes a certain number of legal elements. According to Tashir, the legal system is a dynamic and developing one. It is also considered as ideal and abstract. The legal system interacts with the environment around us, and it has its own architecture. Next is Venedin-Ganev's theory. Instead of the common term legal system, he uses the concepts of legal reality and legal phenomenon. He thinks that the legal system represents a unity of legal phenomena united in a legal reality. According to Ganev, the legal system is ideal and the way it exists because it is created as a result of the actions of the creative understanding of each individual.
Another theory that we have to discuss is the Ruse theory. This philosopher declares his commitment to analytical approach related to analytical school of thought. According to him, the legal system is the type of normative system which possesses a certain degree of complexity. Ruse explains that the main criteria of a legal system is the existence of a judicial substance within its framework. The next theory is by John Austin. John Austin is the main contribution is the legal positivism in the theory of law. The definition of law is a general command of the sovereign is key element in his theory. Moreover, Austin declares that sovereign has no subject right and obligation within in the legal system.
The last theory that we have discussed in our paper is Hans Kelsen's theory. Kelsen's theory aims to present law through the prism of positivism. He believes that the legal theory should only consider legal norms. He highlights the idea of the logical positivism of law. According to him, the legal system is based on the deductive hierarchy of legal norms, as well as on the hierarchical power of state bodies and their normative activity. Now I will tell you a few words about the emergence and development of the general theory of law in Bulgaria. The beginning of the studying and teaching of legal doctrines was laid with the creation and establishment of the Faculty of Law at Sofia University in 1892. The longtime professor at the university, Venedin Ganev, is considered as the founder of the general legal theory in Bulgaria. After 1944, in the country, the general theory of law is divided into three main groups of claims and arguments towards them. The transition to democracy in Bulgaria necessitates the abandonment of the socialist study of the general theory of law and encourages the emergence of several modern courses, among which are those of Rosen Tashev, Tenchu Kolev, Georgi Boychev, and Dmitry Namyukov. In addition, a number of studies and articles have been published and a large number of legal philosophical works have been translated. This is our bibliography, the sources that we have used for our paper, Rosen Tashev's book for the theory of the legal system, and Daniel Bochev's book, General Theory of Law. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Three presenters, Nina Nikolova, Mirela Lupenova, and Denislava Todorova, students.
First year.
Wish you success. And the scientific advisor, I did not see, is not here. Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. And I would like to say some words before the next presentation, the next two papers. Unfortunately, the last two papers, they are from students which are not here. They are from abroad. Rashid Sultan, Rashid Al-Kaitov, it's a long name. He's a doctoral student here in the Faculty of Business and Management. And Milena Goloberidze is Erasmus student here from Georgia. Unfortunately, they sent me their presentation. I will show the presentation. I will not discuss, of course, but they are traveling at that moment. We are streaming now in Zoom and in YouTube. So you can see if you want after that the stream. I would like to say some words that every of you will receive a Crystal Prize for best paper because you are the best papers in your faculties. The official ceremony will start 2:30 on the scene, on the big scene. So after the presentations here, please take in mind that after an hour you have to be on the scene. We will make a common photo there on the scene with all the presenters. I will ask one by one, but please stay on the scene and we'll make a common photo after that with all of you. Let me show the presentations of I hope that you can see. Yes, we have also video, which is recorded from our doctoral student. So please let me turn on. I hope if it's.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. At the beginning, I would like to extend my sincere acknowledgement for all of you to providing me this opportunity to speak to you and introduce my presentation, business development. I would like to mention that my experience knowledge of business development is not only through PhD thesis. It's also because of my experience as a lawyer for several public and private sectors. As you know, UAE is adopting an advance and development there in terms of businesses development. Also, UAE is the hub of starting new businesses, new companies, and also to attract a very high profile big company from all the world, because the environment is stable and it's encouraged the investors to come to UAE. I am happy and proud to present my presentation to your significant and academic grading. Here's my presentation entitled Business Development, a Framework for a Survey. Thank you very much.
So I will not discuss, of course, the presentations. You can see after that on the stream if you want. This is a specific survey, as you see. And some conclusions also they included here. Okay, and as I said, the last presentation is of our Erasmus students, Milena Goloberidze. You can see the topic, 3 British females as role models and how they changed history. Milena is Erasmus student from Faculty of Natural Studies and Education in University of Ruse. Chief assistant, also you can see from here. Unfortunately, as I said, she is not here to present the presentation, just I will present. I will not discuss, of course. You will have a chance, if you want, on the stream to read the presentation. interesting presentation. This is for other. It's interesting. And the conclusions. Okay. Let's congratulate our virtual representatives. Unfortunately, they cannot be with us here at that moment. But with this, I would like to say some words as a conclusion for the whole best paper session. Thank you very much for this, that you have, how to say, you were brave to present in English. Each year, this is a tradition in our university to select some best papers from every faculty, and students and doctoral students, they are presenting in English. This year, we have, as you see, also some foreigner students and doctoral students who attended our session. Please, I would like to invite you for the official ceremony, 2:30. Please stay here at this side of you can sit here on the chairs and wait when we announce your name to come. Of course, the whole team. It's better to come. If also scientific advisors are here, why not? I think this is the idea to have a common photo with all the students, doctoral students, and scientific advisors. Thank you very much for your participation, and I am finishing with this. If you have something to add or some questions, it's not a problem, of course. Okay, thank you.